Let's add color to our crystals. We are going to be using liquid watercolors to do this. Our liquid watercolors come like this. They have lids that go over every single color. You can tell what the color is by looking on the sides. We are only able to open one lid at a time. Crystals can have more than one color in them, but if so, they need to be analogous colors, colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. Everyone will start with the color yellow, and we will make our way down through the colors. You do not need water on your brush to start because the paint is already wet. You want that paint as bright as possible. So you just touch it, you use the points to get inside of those spaces, and you begin coloring it in. You can decide which crystals you want which colors. Here I'm going to let this crystal be more than one color, so I'm not going to paint the entire thing. I don't want crystals right next to each other to be exactly the same color. As you finish with a color, you need to clean your brush. And then here I'm going to squeeze the extra water out of my brush so that it does not get in my paint and water it down. As we finish with one color, we screw the top back on and then twist off the next color, because remember, we can only have one lid off at a time. Since orange is next to yellow, I can have those in the same crystal. So I'm going to start by painting in the crystal I have already painted. I'm painting the edges. Again, I paint with that point. If I press down, it makes that line thicker. I'm going to let that overlap a little bit, and then I'll show you in a minute how we can blend those two colors together. As I finish painting on this one, I can also decide which other crystals will also be orange. Be careful where your arm lays, especially when areas are wet, because you can smudge and smear the paint as it is wet. These can dry quickly as long as you don't have it too wet. Again, tops go on, clean those brushes. But before that, here I am letting those colors mix. To do that, I just add some water and do it over top of those areas so they blend together. Then I go to red, and then I'll clean my brush, squeeze it out always, and then I'm going to begin painting the next areas. Because red is next to orange, it can also go in this crystal. Analogous colors are next door neighbors on the color wheel. If I want a color to be lighter, I just add more water to it over top. Do not add water into the containers. You can water it down for yourself, but not for others. We water it down on our paper. I will continue to go through each and every color. There we have our painted crystals. But what about that rocky base? We are going to be using black to color there, but we don't want it to be a solid black. We want it to have some texture. So in order to do that, when I have a clean brush, I'm going to touch that paint and I'm going to add some squiggle and texture lines throughout that rocky base. I am not watering it down yet. I'm going to add that black right along the bottom of the base for a shadow. It doesn't have to be super straight. It can kind of wiggle and squiggle along with it. Now I am going to take my brush. I am going to touch that water. I'm not cleaning my brush. I'm just lightening the black that is already on it. And I am going to paint the rest of my rock in. If you think yours is too light, you can add in some more black coloring. There we have our painted crystals.